this is where I feel very closely allied with the Bitcoin communities. I can't stand to be living on the Truman Show with a universe of Trumans who haven't figured it out yet.
Yeah. Bingo.
And, you know, look, the game is to try to figure out how to make decentralized computing work at the level of money, work at the level of contract for whatever it's meant to be.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, I don't think we know what this innovation really is. We haven't had it for long enough. We haven't figured out enough about it. I'm actually very attracted to the Bitcoin idea of let it be money before we let it be anything else. Let's not get fancy, because the more things you add on to money, maybe money is pretty well designed to begin with. It's like trying to redesign the sphere.
Mm.
You know, it's like, hey, have you ever noticed how a volleyball and a baseball and a basketball are pretty much the same shape? We should try a cube, a game played with a cube. Well, that's probably not going to work nearly as well as the sphere. The sphere is optimized. And I think that in a certain sense, the Bitcoin community has this strong feeling that don't mess with money. Money is a good enough idea as it is. The trick is to say less. It's like a soloist who has to learn what not to play on the guitar if they want to sound great.
No, that's a great point. I love the sphere analogy because the sphere is the most energetically efficient three-dimensional structure. And I think you could look at Bitcoin that way, is that it's automating the functions of a central bank today. So how many tens of thousands of people, probably into the hundreds of thousands, if you look at the related industries, trying to predict what central bankers are doing, et cetera, like you can do all that in code now effectively. So fix the science, fix the world. Isn't
fix
Bitcoin,
the money, fix the world too.
Isn't Bitcoin scientific money? I mean, aren't we just kind of saying the same thing and like coming at it in two different ways?
but I'm super excited about it. I mean, it's like, no, you have to appreciate it. I literally don't understand why we're concentrating so much of our effort in the desire to be wise stewards of this planet alone.
Mm.
You see, destructive technology is going to get cheaper and easier to wield.
Right.
That means that you're going to have to count on more and more human beings not doing really dumb stuff. Like they shouldn't put spike proteins on viruses that are specifically friendly to human lung tissue. You know, like that would be a bad thing. That would be a bad thing.
Right.
So now, do you really want 100% of your effort trying to fix the money on this particular planet in which the science that we already have is terrifying? I want to do that with some of our resources, maybe most of our resources. Mm-hmm. But I personally think you guys are crazy for wanting to stay here and fix this place, because we should fix it as much as we can. But imagine that you had the ability to experiment with people who thought like you, as opposed to people who are completely hostile to your kind of thinking. I don't want to be hybridizing my future with people who don't believe in markets at all. I don't want to be hybridizing my future with people who are highly authoritarian. I don't want to be hybridizing my future with people who want to be perfectly libertarian and can't figure out that institutions matter. I have a bunch of very normal sounding things that I want that have become impossible to find. We've got to spread out. You know, think about COVID. How many countries on earth has COVID not found its way into? And there are a few scattered islands, I think, that haven't had their first COVID case. But what I'm suggesting is you guys should be focusing on the long-term viability of the human race. You guys should be preparing to be the grown-ups in the room. And my biggest fear, and I say this out of love but without flinching, is that the trauma sustained in all of the criticism of Bitcoin and Bitcoiners and has created some sort of communal trauma where you don't realize that you're going to be the grown-ups. And you're not going to act like the grown-ups. You know, and you don't want somebody in their late 60s screaming, you know, screw you, mom and dad. It's not becoming. And so, you know, my thought about it is that what happens when we have the first entire university endowed from Bitcoin?
Well, I have to thank you because a theme I'm detecting here is you're persistently challenging not only Bitcoiners, but humanity more broadly to look around the corner, right? To think about what's next, to see beyond the horizon.